welcome to Pound for Pound. I'm J.R. Clark, and if you're new to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're returning to this channel, hey man, I appreciate it. We really very much appreciate y'all's views, y'all's comments, y'all's likes, and y'all's shares. Y'all obviously are the reason why we're continuing to do this. Obviously, I mean, we're having fun with it as well, but we do it because we enjoy interacting with like-minded Falcons fans and also having just really good debates, and talking about good topics. That's definitely why we do this. So, like I said, if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're not new here, do me a favor and leave a comment down below, right? And let me know what y'all are thinking. All right, tonight I've come up on here thinking that I was gonna just be talking about the preseason game, the dress rehearsal game, the Redskins game, and but then again, something pretty major happened that affects us, but doesn't necessarily affect us, and that's overnight. Andrew Luck decided to retire from the NFL. 7 seasons in the league, and he missed something like 26 games, and that kind of shocked everybody, right? It took us all by surprise, and it got me thinking. It got me thinking about how lucky we are to have Matt Ryan as our QB. Not only in like his leadership, not only in his performance on the field, but also his durability. Knock on wood, obviously, we don't want him to miss any games, but I think he's only missed like 2 games in his whole career, right? Or 2 starts anyway. So that's pretty impressive, especially in this day and age. I know there are a lot of rules that prevent like quarterbacks from getting hit, and it's a different era than what it was back in the day. But I mean, we're pretty lucky, in my opinion, to have a quarterback such as Matt Ryan leading our team. Uh, that also got me thinking about the potential of Matt Ryan going into the Hall of Fame, right? Like just by his numbers, he stacks up with all the greats in the game and all the greats that are in the Hall, all except for one category, obviously. And there are times when that category matters, and there's times when that category doesn't matter. It depends on who you're talking to and what you're talking about, right? And that category being Super Bowl rings, obviously. He went to a Super Bowl, came up short. Well, so did Dan Marino, but we still count him as some of the greats, right? So when and where does the Super Bowl ring count? Because you have guys like Trent Dilfer who won because of the Ravens defense, but yet he has a Super Bowl ring. Then you have guys like Joe Flacco who are in the league now that have been traded by their team because their performance was so poor, but yet he has a Super Bowl ring because he had an amazing playoff run, right? Then you got guys down there like in Jacksonville with Nick Foles. I mean, how many of y'all are really going to try to sit there and tell me that Nick Foles is better than Matt Ryan? But he's got a ring, and he was Super Bowl MVP. MVP is another like weird thing to talk about. Does MVP matter or doesn't it matter? Some people will tell you that Matt Ryan's MVP in 2016 means nothing. But some of those same people will try to convince you that last year's MVP, Pat Mahomes, is the greatest thing that stepped on the turf, and he's only done it for one full season. So when does it matter, and why does it matter? Now, granted, these are all debates, and I don't really necessarily have answers for you. All I can really do is look at the numbers compared to other guys, and the fact that Matt Ryan is a Pro Bowler and All Pro, did win an MVP, and took his team to the Super Bowl. So on that aspect, yeah, I think he's on par with Dan Marino, whether he wins a ring or not. Now, if he wins a ring, that cements it. It's done, boom, right? Kind of like they say that second ring cemented Peyton's legacy. Even though I'm pretty sure if you were to set Peyton down in a room, tell him that you ain't recording, nothing, he'll admit that they didn't win that because of him. They didn't lose it, but, he didn't lose it for him, obviously. But they sure enough didn't win because of Peyton Manning. I mean, he was done. And I'm pretty sure at one point in time, you could look at Eli Manning up in New York. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings, and people think he's a joke. So when does a Super Bowl ring matter? I guess is my question. Does it matter when it's convenient for it to matter? Now, I mean, you got Tom Brady and Joe Montana. They got a fistful of rings. We'll definitely point those guys out. It matters in those cases because man, they got a ton of rings. So that's something to look at. That's something to point to. But having a ring or not having a ring, in my opinion, shouldn't separate you whether you get into the Hall of Fame or not. Because this game is a team sport, like full on team sport. You win with all 22 guys on the field, offensive and defensive, and special teams, obviously. That's how that's the reason why I love this game so much. Like in the NBA and to some extent even in baseball, you can have like dominant stars that can carry a team and propel a team to a championship. I mean, look at what LeBron did in Cleveland the first time. Like he had that team on his back. Same thing with Jordan. There's that old argument: did Jordan make Pippen? Would Pippen been Pippen without Jordan? You never really will know. But some people will tell you that he wouldn't have been, right? So some people will tell you that Jordan made those guys what they were. So, but in football, you have to have the entire team. The entire team counts for what happens on the field. Like we lost the Super Bowl on the entire team. It wasn't just one guy. Yes, there were certain plays that you could point out here and there. Devontae missing a block, Jake Matthews getting a hold, us not running the ball and just kicking the field goal, or the defense not being able to get off the field in the second half of the Super Bowl. You see what I'm saying? It's a team game. So why do we hang the Hall of Fame talk on whether he's got a ring or not? So you're going to sit and tell me, okay, well, JR, it's a different era. In this era, it's a pass happy league. Okay, how is that Matt Ryan's fault? Or any other QB for that matter? You're over here just a minute ago praising Pat Mahomes for doing what he did last year, but he's playing under the same rules that Matt Ryan did. And Matt Ryan's been extremely consistent all the way through his career, but yet we like to brush off of his numbers and his achievements. When I say we, that's like a media we. That's people who like to talk crap about Matt Ryan, want to just kind of push the stuff aside, saying, "Oh, well, it's no big deal." In today's league, you can throw for 1,000,000 yards and 1,000,000 touchdowns and all this other stuff. Okay, well, if that's the case, then why didn't all of them doing it? You see what I'm saying? Why didn't all of them throwing for that many yards? Why didn't all of them being that consistent? I see a lot of these tweets that come out talking about, with the consistency that Matt Ryan has played with. His name is up there with a Tom Brady, right there with it. I mean, there's things that Matt Ryan has done in the past 4 or 5 years that not even your boy down in New Orleans done. So tell me what stats matter and what don't, right? Because y'all are consistently moving the goalpost on whether I should consider my QB a Hall of Fame QB or not, or is he elite or not. Would tell me what metric I'm supposed to be gauging, because everything I look at tells me that he's elite. Everything I look at tells me that he's probably going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, especially if he keeps going on the trajectory that he's going. I think he's already like 12th overall in passing, like as far as yards in the history of the NFL, and he's probably going to get up into the top 10 before his career's over. So is that Hall of Fame worthy, or is that because of the new rules? Well, if that's the case, then we need to knock down everybody else because they're playing under the same rules, right? But with Luck retiring in the fashion that he did, people want to blame the GM for not giving him an O-line, and that's true. They didn't protect him. Now, granted, his body didn't hold up, but his GM didn't help, right? And that got me thinking about the bad O-lines that Matt Ryan's played under, and makes me even more grateful for the quarterback that we have. And I really hope that the majority of the fan base, not the hardcore, because I really feel like the hardcore is behind him, right? And they're supporting him because I see it on Twitter all the time. Somebody talks crap, there's a slew of fans that are right there to defend him, right? And I'm one of those fans. So I wonder if we're finally going to realize that the mainstream media will finally catch up and see what we have seen over the years, at least what I have seen over the years, an extremely consistent professional QB that does an amazing job with what he's given, whether it's a bad O line, an inconsistent run game, a porous defense. Matt Ryan's consistent, and he puts up really good numbers. He puts up, in my opinion, Hall of Fame type numbers, and I'll be interested to see if he gets in when his career's done. Now, if he ends up getting a Super Bowl ring like I feel like he's going to, then no question, done. Hall of Fame in the books, boom. But it'd be interesting to see that if we come out without one in his time, how favorably is he going to be looked upon when it comes up time for him to go into the Hall of Fame. But I want to quickly kind of touch on some things from the Redskins game for those who are still with me. I think Duke Riley might have saved his position. I saw some sentiment going around about Deidrin Sanat. I really don't think that they were going to cut this dude his second year. I know we've gotten spoiled over the years about guys coming in and just performing right away, on our team and on other teams and stuff like that. But sometimes guys need a little bit more time to maturate, a little bit more time to get seasoned and start looking like they belong. Somebody used to say all the time, I wish I could remember who it was, but you got to give these people at least 3 years. So essentially, their first like rookie contract before we can really tell what they are and what they're going to be. So to write off Deidre Sanat after 1 year, I think I don't think the coaching staff is doing that, and I know I'm certainly not doing that. He showed some flashes in that Redskin game, and we'll see if he can carry it forward. Uh, as far as far as his kicking situation goes, they brought in Blair Walsh today, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. He's got a couple weeks to prove that he can do it and prove that he's the guy. Now, somebody brought up something on Twitter that I thought was interesting. They can keep him even going into the season because Rashid Hageman is suspended for a few games. So that opens up a roster spot. So don't be surprised if they carry both Tavecchio and Blair Walsh into the season. So it'll be real interesting to see how this kicking situation plays out because, everybody's going to be like, well, why didn't you just bring back Matt Bryant? Well, it might be a little bit too late on that, like as far as money-wise. Now, if they can get Jones's deal done before the season, then it wouldn't surprise me if they brought him back in. But right now, I think they only have like $3 million in the cap space, and they got to keep that for an emergency. I mean, it's just plain and simple. And if I'm Matt Bryant, I'm not coming back for any less than $3 million because that's what they were guaranteeing me when they cut me. So that's the way I feel on that kicking situation. It's going to be real interesting, folks. You better hope it don't come down to kicks much this year because I know we've been spoiled, and it's going to be interesting to see what plays forward. But I'm glad this preseason's about done and we can get into talking about real football because this game coming up on Jacksonville, I don't think is going to make or break much of anybody. It's going to give a chance for some kicks and see who you're going to go in the season with. But other than that, that's really about it, in my opinion. Maybe lock down the returner because these young cats ain't showing much as far as wanting to be the returner. They keep muffing things. So, I mean, Kenyon Martin is almost a lock by default. Sorry about running a little long tonight. I was trying to do a short video, but I guess I got talking about my QB and it got a little long. But I'm gonna go ahead and start wrapping it up. If you hadn't already followed us on Twitter, please do. You can find me at Grim1128 on Twitter. You can find Toby at TobyD1991 on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook at Pound for Pound ATL. Same with Instagram. we're out there. Find us there. We love to interact with y'all in any way we can. Like I said, we got a podcast coming up. We're going to start recording our first few episodes here soon. We'll let y'all know when that stuff drops, so keep an eye on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up.